Damn heat's got me drinking in an afternoon. Sup kids, so as you may have gathered through the many podcasts which have come this year, the previous years, and me discussing topics on and off, some controversial, some not so much controversial, some a little funny, some a little sad, is that I can be a little bit idealistic. And I don't think that's a bad thing. That's just my personal view, which maybe, again, is probably a little idealistic. But why do I bring this up? Well, I find it strange, because my view of idealism isn't me, essentially. My view of someone who is idealistic is someone who thinks the best can happen all the time without reality being involved. So someone who's like, yes, we need money, therefore we're going to make money. It will work out. To me, that's idealistic. That's saying that there's no barriers. There's nothing stopping us. It's altruistic. It's a lot of icks. But it looks at the world and says only the positive can happen, so therefore the only positive should happen. And it believes in the best in people, which I don't. I believe in the best that a person can be, being down to themselves. And I think everyone's idea of the best a person can be varies, so reality usually fails in terms of how we approach the world. And I'm not a negative person, though. I don't think I'm a negative person. I wouldn't say I'm a negative person. I'm realistic. I'm realistic in terms of my own universe. But obviously, some ideas I have can come off a little more idealistic. For instance, nuclear. The nuclear problem. The idea of having weapons. I, for instance, do not feel that we need them. I don't see a point in Trident and hoarding nuclear missiles, which I've been told is idealistic, which it may be a little idealistic. My view of that situation, which is for another time, is that we don't need them, because if we don't have them, we're screwed, and if we do have them, we're screwed. So what's the point in having them? We've just cancelled everything out. Therefore, if one nation develops a nuclear weapon and no one else has them and says, I will blow the crap out of you, well, alright, we'll do it. What are you going to win? Nothing. You're just going to irradiate part of the world, which you then can't use. Good luck with your Deathdrop. I'm very much, if you have a shotgun in my face, fire the fucking shotgun. I'm dead either way. So I can look at things in a very cut and dry way, which can come across as a little idealistic. The same with kind of deals and stuff like that. So I'm trying to put on an event, looking for an event, and explaining that event to people. I can sound a little over the top. I want it to be a free event. I don't want to make any money from it. I want it to be non-profit. I want it to encourage creativity. And how am I going to do that? Well, probably I'm going to end up just funding it myself. And someone's like, well, why would you do that? And I'm just sat there going, well, why wouldn't someone else? If I have disposable income, why shouldn't I use that disposable income to encourage something which I see as a positive within the world? Again, if you boil it down to the core points, it seems a little too good to be true. It seems a little idealistic. And I hate as someone said to me, it's like, what was it? Because you're just such a good person, and it came across as so sanctimonious. And I agree, it does sound sanctimonious. I'm not a person who enjoys being above anyone. I'm not above anyone. If anything, I'm below all of you. I'm below all of you. Sorry, terrible, immature. And that's just how I live my life. I live my life how I feel someone should live their life. I lead by example. That's all I try to do. My example may be wrong, but I'm willing to change it if I'm shown evidence otherwise. Either way, I'm getting off point. But why did I bring it up? So I brought it up because I've noticed within the last few months, and most recently at an event I went to, that when something is free, people are automatically distrustful of it. And I am curious if this has always been the case or whether this has been more developed within the last few years with things like online and scams and getting ripped off and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give you a little context. So as you know, I make a zine, Null Point Zine. If you can't see that, that's blown out completely if you're watching this in the video. I make a zine called Null Point. The whole idea behind Null Point, I'll probably do a podcast on this. So the point is that it takes anonymous submissions from people on a subject, and then I publish them into a copy of the zine at cost to myself, and then I give them away. I don't charge for them. You can order them online for cost of postage, which is basically the cost of an envelope and a stamp, or an airplane ride for your zine if you live in a different country. And I give them away for free. Now, to me, as a person, the concept of that is quite simple, and it's not an original one. That's how art should be. It should be you create something, you go out and you give it away. You let the people have it. I've never inferred that I'd make money from art. I don't expect to make money from art. If I do, it's a really nice surprise. If someone wants to send me some money for my art, fantastic. I'm hugely honoured. I don't know if that comes down to something of me not feeling like I deserve it. I'm not even going to get into that. But that's my view of the world. It doesn't seem odd. It doesn't seem wrong. In fact, it makes the most sense to me of anything. And this is not to say that I have a problem with anyone who sells their zine or sells their work, because I understand that side of it as well. But for me personally, in my view of the world and the view of art and how art is created and distributed, this makes the most sense to me. Is that, one, I don't make all the content in the book, therefore I'm never going to charge for it, because if I don't charge for it, then I'd be profiting off someone else's creativity, and that is not something I want to do. Also, it makes it way more complex because then I have to start paying people. Again, I'm keeping it as simple as possible, which is, again, falls back to the whole idealism thing. But I go to this event, and I went to, where was I? Sheffield Zine Fest. Sheffield Zine Fest is where I went, and I distributed my zines. Set up my little stand, big label, free zines. And you would expect, or I would expect, maybe this is me being, again, we're getting back to the point. You'd expect people just to pick them up. Wouldn't you? Free content. Free drink. Free sample. You think, all right, well, why not? It's free. Try it. I would. If it was me, I'm at an event. Someone says something's free. I'm over there. I'm all the way over there. I'm in the shopping market. If someone says free samples, I'm over there. I'm having free samples. It's free. I don't think of this is a ploy. No, because I'm there for the free thing. I don't have to buy the bag of sausages, just trying the little bit of sausage. No, I just get to try the little bit of sausage. Surely the life of sampling is the way forward. But I found myself at this event, people approaching the table, having to explain it, and getting quite odd reactions, or what I thought was odd reactions. People approach, say, start and look. I say, hello. Introduce, say, and I had to reiterate. Essentially, I got down my patter. My patter came with, these are all free, by the way. To which they'd be like, what? That was the general reaction I got. What? How do you mean? Like all of them? So I can take as many as I want? I'm like, yes. Isn't that obvious by the sign of free zines? Not to get frustrated, but isn't that obvious? Free zines. That to me infers that everything which is a zine format on that table is free. That just seems like, logically, that's the way I would approach it. But none of them asked either. None of them came along and said, oh, so which ones of these are free? No one kind of approached and just started with that aspect. And I don't know if it's because people have a different view of how artwork should be kind of distributed and sold within the world, or they feel like it's not worth it if it's free. But there was this distrust. This distrust of the fact that I was giving it away for free. They needed more. Wow, it's a giant bumblebee outside my window. You go find some flowers. There's a sunflower down there. Go find that. But there was this distrust. There's a distrust which kind of traps you in it. And I'm sat thinking, how? Is it just me? Am I broken? Have I got too perfect a view of the world? Because I think the world's terrible. Generally, that's my general view of the world. Ask anyone. And yet I'm confused when people don't understand. Maybe that's the conflict here. I think the world's terrible, and get confused when people are mistrustful of positive things. Maybe I just solved my own little problem here, but I don't know. So essentially, I get to go through this part hundreds of times, or however many people came to the stand. Thank you for everyone who came, picked up a copy, by the way, and is willing to get involved with the project. If you'd like to, I'll put a link in the bio. But this whole idea of something being free, especially art being free, really made people uncomfortable, and I thought is hugely interesting from a standpoint of a creator, because as a creator you're constantly trying to, or a lot of creators are constantly trying to find a way to make a living off what they do. Painters, illustrators, they do commissions, and filmmakers go out and make short films, advertising, and so you're constantly in that battle of, how do I make this a monetary value so that I can do this all the time, and it pays for what I do, and I love what I do, and I work for what I do, and blah, 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 blah. All those things. And yet, if you try to give your work away, people reel back from it. It's this great theory I heard, well, not theory, but track I heard about DLC in games, is that if someone has paid for something, they will defend it more than if something's free. If someone gives you something free, they'll trash it. They'll say it's terrible. But if you paid for content, you're more likely to defend it, because you don't want to feel like you were stupid for buying it because you spent your money, and you want to take ownership a little bit. So how has that barrier come to be? How is it that you can't just kind of give something away? Also, if something's free, does it mean that it's worth less? Or does it mean that it's a good deal? And all of these conflicting things just kind of come to mind, to a point where I'm start thinking of, like, can you even make art free? I mean, I go to a lot of events. Very rarely I will pay to go to an art event. One, because I don't like to spend a lot of money. Two, because I work awkward working hours. But mainly because I feel like if you have something art-based, especially if it's a community project, or if it's, a group effort, and no one's funding it, then the only money going into it should go back to the project. Like community theatre and all those kinds of things. So that makes sense. It covers the cost of production. What did I go see? I paid to go see a screening of Metropolis with a live pianist when I was in London, and that was fantastic. And I didn't think twice about paying for it, because it was a film. It was something which is written in stone, and the money will go to the people who own the film and all this kind of stuff. But it also goes to pay the pianist who's there working his ass off, trying to get things done, and that didn't make me think second about it. But if someone comes up with a poster and says, "Oh, I have this poster and this amount of money," suddenly I'm a little shadier. Maybe it's the product side of it. I don't know. I don't know how my spending habits translate to the rest of the world, because I love a free thing. I love a bargain. That comes from not having very much money. I know lots of people with very low money, and they take advantage of every deal and freebie imaginable. But at the same time, there's so many people who are so distrustful, and I think part of it does come from, it's that kind of like snake oil salesman pitch of back in the day, and getting ripped off, and someone go, "Oh, look, it can do anything, it can have anything, and it's $2, and only $2, fantastic, but it's made in a bathtub, and it doesn't really do anything. You're basically just rubbing lavender on yourself." And that's, that's a distrust. But at the same time, you got to think there had to be good things which were free. There had to be, live shows, performances. A lot of theatre used to be free back in the day. Park performances, musicians. A lot of this kind of comes hand in hand. And art, for instance, you go to galleries, a lot of galleries will give you free entry. You can get into the Tate Modern for free, and you can go to the Royal Portrait Gallery for free. Nobody seems to question that because it's established. Do you have to pay? Do you have to charge to make your work worth something to begin with? Maybe Banksy's a great example of that. You know, Banksy was a graffiti artist. So all their work was free. All of it. And then it became a commodity. But people weren't distrustful of it, but then that's graffiti. Graffiti is different. How many times do you pick up a leaflet in like a supermarket or a hotel or just on the street? I'm distrustful of people who hand me stuff on the street. But then I'm not on the street. I don't know, maybe they say. It's just weirding me out. It weirded me out how much people recall from it. And how much I have to explain things which I'd like to do. I mean, this event's a great example. That I'm wanting to put on this event, and I want to do it in as non-profitable way as possible. But getting people on board with that idea seems quite hard. Because for some reason, at some point, someone said that everything had to make money, and it's not an understanding of how. I mean, that was a question I had from a couple of people, other zine makers, kind of asked me about it. You know, how is this funded? You know, and I'm saying, well, I fund it myself. My project, I pay for it, I print it, I ship it. And they said, but surely that's got to have a financial outlay, which it does. You know, there's no denying that. It has a financial outlay for me, but I consider that financial outlay a necessity for me, in a way. You know, like to bare bones of it, if it costs me £50 to produce a copy of the zine, ship it out, print it, ship it, all that kind of jazz, and it costs me £50 per issue, then that's £50 I spend maybe every 2 months. How much does someone spend on a night out drinking? How much does someone spend on a nice meal? They might spend £50 to £100. To me, this gives me the exact same amount of enjoyment that does. So why would I charge for it? You know, but for some people, that concept is just completely foreign. The idea of, and maybe it's that capitalist part of society where we've kind of come to a point where everything has to have a value. Everything has to be a priced and pretty. I had a dream once that Null Point took off and became this huge thing. But it still has to be free because that's the vision, that's the point. And again, this probably comes back to me being idealistic and concepts and everything like that. But if you ruin it by adding monetary value to it, then you're adding more than it needs to be. It needs to be kept really simple. It does. It just has to be kept really simple. Which then brings me to the event I want to put on. You know, I'm trying to put on this event. I want it to be free. I want it to be this big thing at the same time as free. So I'm willing to probably fund it myself. I've been encouraged to apply for funding. But then that whole idea of working with institutions and institutions wanting corporate value and capitalist value on the products you make and wanting their hands in it, it's just a big minefield. So when the public recoil from things being free, how do you even... I don't know. It's not like every... Maybe there's a difference in the sense that I don't see every situation I get myself into as someone trying to take advantage of me. I'm still very aware, and I'm not naive. I can recognize a scam, and I will go out of my way to stop people taking advantage of me and stop people taking advantage of other people. But I don't approach every situation as this person's going to do something bad to me. And that could be, I don't know, maybe that's down to my position in life. You know, that could be down to a privilege. It could be down to me thinking, oh, well, someone's clearly going to take advantage of me. Someone's clearly going to, rip me off, beat me up. Every dark alley, I don't look at it and think, yeah, I'm probably going to get stabbed. I'll look at it and go, yeah, there's a 50-50 chance of me getting stabbed. But there's a 50-50 chance that someone could just break into my house right now and stab me. I feel like I get a lot of comfort out of my logic. To the point where I don't know, other people's reactions just confuse me. And I get that everyone's had different life reactions. But maybe I'm just trying to say, it's not even take risks. It's not even be more trusting. I'm not saying be more trusting. Just don't look at everything as instantly negative. Maybe that's the way to think of it. So I'm not saying be more positive. I would never say that. I'm not saying be more trusting, because, you know, you've got your own life and you've got your own views and your own experiences which have made you how you are. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is maybe approach things more of a neutral. Don't approach things as going, yes, this is going to go really well and I'm really out for it and everything's going to be amazing. But also don't approach it as this is going to go terrible and I'm going to die and the world will end and everything will be ruined. No, just approach things as this will be an experience. This could be a thing. And then pick it up and drop it as you leave it. Don't get invested. Examples of why Graham is single. Don't get invested. That's terrible. Check out next week. Next week I will be having Jen Darby come on, and we are discussing Dating 103. The third installment in the podcast series. But again, I don't know if as a society we've become more distrustful, or maybe it's just my experience with people. It could be a lot like the social media thing where you're just seeing negative things more advertised, so everything seems worse than it actually is. It could be more fear is pumped into you than it used to be. But take the free samples, man. You could get some free treats, and you're just looking at it as, oh, they're going to ask me for this. And they might, in which case you just walk away. There's no obligation. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to deal with this heat. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.